Hello and welcome to Universal Google Analytics for Product Analysts. My name is Chloe and I've been using Universal Google Analytics to analyse website performance for coming up to 6 years now. I started off in marketing and now I work as a product data analyst. If you're interested in starting a career in product analytics, this series may be useful for you. I'm hoping to share some insight into how you can get the most out of Google Analytics to empower product decisions. So, what are you going to learn? I'll take you through the what, why, and how. What is Google Analytics? Why would a business use it? And how to navigate the interface. Let's jump right in. What is Google Analytics? So let's say you work for a business called Sock and Shoe that sells socks and shoes. The business has a website where customers can come and buy the best socks in town. Google Analytics is an analytical reporting tool that's owned by Google. It collects information about what users are doing on a website. So to do this, Google Analytics uses a JavaScript tag, which is placed on a website. If you're working in a large tech company, tagging will either be done through Google Tag Manager or worked on by development teams. There are currently a couple of versions of Google Analytics. There's Universal and GA4. In this series, we'll focus on Universal, as most companies at the time of this recording haven't made the leap to GA4 as yet, so it's likely that you'll be using this version in the working world. So how does this actually work? This is Casey, and he's looking to buy some socks from your website. He clicks on a link from a Facebook ad and he enters the site. Once he's entered, just like a fine 5-star hotel, Google Analytics gives Casey a cookie. These cookies are gluten-free, vegan, and 0 calories. The cookie is used to identify the user's device and also used to tie together all the information that Google Analytics will collect. Now, previously, a cookie used to be given to the user as soon as they would land, almost like a welcome treat. So Casey would get his cookie and Google Analytics would start to collect data straight away. Now, you might have seen those rather annoying pop-up banners every time you enter a new website. So under the new cookie consent legislation, Google Analytics can only give Casey a cookie if he clicks accept, so if he gives his consent. So essentially, we can't track Casey's behavior without him accepting that cookie. If he consents, the cookie will stay on his device, it will persist for 90 days. So if Casey comes back to the Sock and Shoe website within this time, Google Analytics will know that he's been here before and will class him as a returning user. But if Casey decides that he's going to clear his cookies manually and he comes back to the website, this time he'll be counted again as a new visitor. So Casey comes onto the website, he gets his cookie, and Google Analytics can start to collect some data. And Google Analytics collects data such as which pages he looks at, how he found the website, what elements he's interacting with, and whether or not he makes a purchase. Now, these interactions, or events, as we call them in GA, are collected using JavaScript tags, so just as we mentioned before. And as standard, Google Analytics will collect information about pages and purchases, but you can enrich this data by adding more JavaScript tags to your website. So you can essentially collect pretty much any type of behavior that a user has on your website. So let's say you're interested in how users interact with an image carousel. You can add extra tags for this. So if you wanted to know how many times they clicked the button to make the images go across, which image they've looked at, how long they've looked at it for, you can do this by adding extra tags. And again, this will usually be added to the website either by a developer or by an analyst using Google Tag Manager. So this is the flow. Casey has accepted the welcome cookie. He's been browsing the website. Google Analytics has collected his information, put it into the interface, and now we can analyze what he's been up to. However, we don't actually know that this is Casey. Google Analytics doesn't collect PII. Now, PII is personally identifiable information. So you might have heard about GDPR. This is in that realm. So PII is any data that could potentially identify a specific individual. So any data that could tie back to Casey. So in Google Analytics, we do not collect anything about the user. that's identifiable. So we don't collect names, email addresses, or phone numbers. Casey will be a series of numbers, which we call a user ID. So now that you know what Google Analytics does, why would this be useful to a business? To discover actionable insight, and this is one of the main roles of a product analyst. Let's go through a couple of examples. So let's say that you are the product analyst at Sock and Shoe, and you have a stakeholder that looks after all the sock products, and they want to know what's the hot seller and which products might be caught in an inventory issue. So in comes Google Analytics. So customers will be interacting with your website and clicking on products. And here on the example on the screen, we can see lots of people are adding socks to their carts. This data is collected by Google Analytics, and we might find out that lots of people love adding yellow socks to their baskets. They might spend an average of 10 seconds looking at the product page, and they're most likely to add these socks at the checkout as an extra. We also might find out that the brown socks aren't doing as well as the yellow socks, and we see that people are leaving the website after seeing these socks. So now that we know this information, we can inform the stakeholder and we can recommend some changes. So if we have a look at the product photo on the left, we can see that the image of the brown socks isn't as good quality as the yellow socks. So the socks are upside down and half of them are out of the picture. So we could recommend to the stakeholder to fix the product image and see if this changes the behavior of our customers. So this is a very simple iterative approach that is used in many product working businesses, and it can be carried out over and over again. So you make small improvements to increase sales or change user behavior. So let's say we made some changes to the brown sock photos. We then let Google Analytics do its thing, collect some more data, and a week or so later, we take a look at the data to see if user behavior has improved. Has sales improved on these socks? So let's say in this case that improving the brown socks decreased the number of people that leave the website after seeing them. So this is great news to give back to your stakeholder. But we also might notice that the sales for this product haven't really improved, and the yellow socks still get far more people seeing them. So we could again have a look at what's the difference. So yellow socks are added more on the checkout, brown socks aren't seen on the checkout. So we could place the brown socks in a better location to see if this improves sales. So we make these changes and we start the process again. We collect the data, we look at the data, and we see if we need to make any more changes. So this approach can be used for analysing many different elements on a page, such as banners, entire pages, marketing campaign performance, or even device performance. And usually you would make these changes in experiments. So that's it for part 1 of this series. So let's have a recap. So what is it? Google Analytics is an analytics tool that collects customers' activity on your website. How does it work? We use JavaScript tags to collect information about the users by placing a cookie on the user's device if they consent, and this lasts for 90 days unless the user manually deletes it. And we do not collect any PII. Remember that PII is emails, telephone numbers, anything that could identify the person. And why would this be useful to a business? So understanding customers helps to make informed decisions. So making decisions about inventory, pricing, marketing, and more. So it can essentially help businesses save and make more money. I hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this series, and I'll see you for part 2. Thank you.